Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Jane. Today we are doing my morning routine. I'm walking you through kind of how my morning routine has changed, what I do now versus what I did the last time I did a morning routine. Right now I'm in the season of writing a book, so it's a little bit different. And my husband and I have added in some routines that have changed my individual morning routine. I think it'll be fun. So it's definitely different than what it used to be. I did film it in real time, which means it's pretty dark for a lot of it, so be warned. And at the end of the video, I have a little bit of an update for the channel, so stay tuned to the end if you want to hear that. All right, so the very first thing that I do every single morning is just sit down with my journal. I literally walk from my room straight to get my journal and sit down on the couch to write. Right now, what I'm doing is really just 2 pages of free write every morning. I start putting my pen to paper and I keep it moving until I've done 2 pages. Sometimes I'll do more, sometimes I'll do less, but currently I'm drawing out my planner part of my life in my bullet journal, and I do that the night before, so it's been written by the time I've had to leave a certain amount of space basically in my journal. So yeah, I just sit down and I journal. This is my favorite time of day because it lets me just wake up really slowly. I usually do this around 6 a.m. Both the other boys are typically asleep, and it's just a time that I get to myself. Now, after that, I usually take a few minutes to read. Right now, I am reading No Cure for Being Human, and it is so good, and it's bringing me a lot of joy and a lot of comfort. And I usually just sit and read. My husband at this time is usually on a run. He will get back around 6:45, and so while he's running, I'm reading, and when he gets back, I will move on to making coffee. This particular morning, though, I was making a quiche. I literally never do this, so this is very out of the ordinary for me, but this quiche needed to bake for about 50 minutes. So before I make coffee, I just put the quiche together. I just did some cheese in the bottom, some spring onions, some spinach, and then I'd prepared the crust and the egg kind of custard mixture the night before. So it was all prepped. All I had to do was preheat the oven and stick it in before I made my coffee. And then after that, I got into the good part of the day, which is coffee. This is something that I never used to do this early in the morning. I've always been the kind of person who drank my first coffee around 9 or 10 a.m. and just didn't really use coffee to wake up necessarily. However, I have been drinking it first thing in the morning now because my husband recently was like, hey, can we make time to sit together first thing in the morning and really just catch up and connect? And that felt really exciting. We needed that time because our schedules are very busy right now and we're not always able to have dinner together, so it's kind of like coffee is our time. So while he gets his shower and gets ready for the day, I will prepare our coffee. We're both big cappuccino drinkers. We drink cappuccinos every morning, and so I just make us 2 cappuccinos, and then typically we have about 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, to just hang out before the day really begins. So that is what we're doing here. Our conversations in this time kind of range from what's stressing you out right now, what do you have going on in the day, what are you feeling about the current political climate, what's parenting feeling like for you at this moment. All of that is happening kind of around that time. Also, our kiddo at this time is usually in his room. He likes to start the day out watching a show on his TV, and eating his breakfast in this little fort that he has in his room. This is something we started when he was 3 or 4 because he would wake up really anxious for having to do the things he had to do that day. And so this was kind of our way for him to like wake up cozily. And now it's just like, well, this is what we've done. We're here, and that's his routine, and it's not going anywhere. So he's usually in there doing that, and Obi and I will hang out and catch up while that is going on. He also kind of gets himself dressed and gets ready for the day during this time as well. Obi almost every day takes the kiddo to school, and as soon as they leave, I go and do either yoga, or currently I'm into Qigong or Tai Chi, and just kind of move my body, move some energy around, and take this time to be physically present in my body. Yoga is particularly important to me. It's just something that I've done for years. It's one of my favorite things that I do, and makes my body just feel so much better. After I do my movement for the day, I will go have breakfast. And today again, I made this quiche, so I'm just kind of getting that together and making a plate. When I eat my quiche or eat my whatever I made for breakfast that day, I will sit and watch one YouTube video. And I typically like to watch a video that makes me feel the way I want to feel that day. So right now I'm writing a book, so I want to feel really creatively inspired and connected. So I'm watching a lot of videos from authors or writers or people who are kind of thinking about the creative process. And I really like vlog style videos based on that. So that is what I'm doing this morning, is just watching one video before I move on with the rest of the day. After breakfast, I clean up. So I always do the dishes first thing after I eat my breakfast, all the dishes from the morning and anything left over from the night before. I'm obsessed with these gloves. I have really dry hands, and we don't have a dishwasher, so we have to wash our dishes by hand. But when I wash dishes by hand, my hands get really dry and cracked. So these gloves are an absolute lifesaver, quite frankly. I call this time like my morning tidy, where I just wash the dishes, I wipe down the counters in the kitchen, and then I go to make our bed. I don't do like a ton of cleaning, but we like to have like all the dishes clean and the bed made to have like a nice start to the day. And it just makes it feel easy to be at home. If we're working from home that day, we don't feel like, oh, there's like a lot of things that need to be done or things are gross. Like everything feels put together when your bed is made and the dishes they're like an empty sink. That's it for me. You'll see we'll have like clutter in other areas of our home, and we'll get to that later. But for me to feel good about the day, I want a clean sink and a made bed. I also at this time like to open all the windows in any of the rooms where the windows and blinds are closed, turn off all the lights, and just get some sunshine in the house. And I think of it as like waking the house up for the day. And then I take my 15 minutes of quiet time on the porch. I have this like analog timer that I bought off Amazon forever ago that I never got to use. And this is what I use it for. I just set a timer for 15 minutes. I sit on the front kind of steps of our house and just sit in silence. This is my current form of meditation. I watch the birds, I look at the trees, I notice the flowers. I let my mind wander. It's allowed to do whatever it wants to do. There's no controlling, no fixing. All I have to do is just sit there, and it is life-changing for me. I feel more present in my body. I feel like I have more spaciousness between my thoughts, my feelings, and my reactions. I feel more connected to the environment because I'm just checking in on the earth every day. Like, how are you doing today, trees? And I just love this time. It's so grounding, so peaceful. No matter how stressed I am or overstimulated or how worried I am about what I have to do that day, this time is always there for me to just calm and breathe and be. All that I have to do is sit and enjoy the moment, and that's a real gift. So currently my favorite part of my routine. I like doing this after I clean as well because almost everything's done. This is the last thing that I do, and I get to just really enjoy that. Now, usually when I'm doing this, I get a lot of ideas and my brain runs really fast. And so lately I've come straight in from that and started writing because I typically will have a sentence or an idea or something that comes to mind that I want to expand on once I finish my time of doing nothing. And so I come inside and I sit down and I typically try to write one poem or one essay, or at least get a large chunk of what's on my mind out of the way. And so that's what I'm doing today. Once that's done, I will just get ready. I keep my skincare very light in the morning these days. I do most of my skincare at night, and I'm just putting on some face cream. This is the Osea Atmosphere Protection Cream. The Glossier eye cream and some lip balm, and that'll probably be about it for the day. And then when it comes to makeup right now, I'm not doing much. I'm just putting on some eyebrow gel. This is the How to Be a Redhead eyebrow gel that I'm currently obsessed with. It helps not only your eyebrows to look like you have them, like add color, but it also keeps them in place, which none of the other eyebrow gels that I have do that. So big win on that front. And then I get dressed for the day. And typically what I do is I pick my clothes out either the night before, or even sometimes I'll pick out the clothes for the week at the beginning of the week. So I don't even have to think about what I'm gonna wear. And I had a surprise love note from Obes, who fixed my calligraphy pen and used it to write me a sweetness. Thanks, babe. And and then this right here on the left is my book outline for chapter 1 for type 1. And so as I write pieces, I am just putting them, like writing on a post-it note what's going to be there. Each of these post-it notes represents a page or 2 pages that I want to include in that chapter. And so you'll see kind of how much more I have to write for type 1 before we're done. And I have a visual of kind of where we're at in the process, and I can kind of rearrange them the way I want them to fit. And then this day, I went to the coffee shop to do this part of my morning routine. I don't always do that. Sometimes I work from home, sometimes I do this in the office, but I always do this. I check in with my journaling prompts. Right now I'm writing out my core desired feelings for the quarter: calm, inspired, and cinematic. And then I'm just prioritizing my tasks for the day. I also ask myself, how am I feeling? I like to ask this question because I am a little bit generally disconnected with my feelings, and it gives me a moment to really sit with that and see, like, what's even going on in my body? How am I even actually doing right now? Because I don't often know if I don't pause. Then I ask myself, how can I love Obi today? How can I love Ford today? And how can I love myself today? And then I write out 3 ways that I could possibly brighten my day, make my day better. And I write a 10 good things list. I have a video all about a 10 good things list that I will try to remember to link for you, but it's just essentially a gratitude list, but simplified. I also keep my running task list there that I draw that out the night before, and I have my schedule for the day written down as well. This is a time for me to just really get connected to the day and make a plan, so that by the time I start work, I am good to go. And from here, I just walk across the street and head over to my office. I work at a co-working space that I love, and we just go right in, head over to my desk, and get unpacked for the day. What's cool about doing the priorities, what are your top 3 priorities for the day, is that I know exactly what I'm going to work on as soon as I walk in and sit down at the office. So I'm not having to think about where do I start. I don't really tend to get distracted or dilly-dally, as my mom would say it. I just get to work. So that is the end of my morning routine, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, friends, thank you for joining me for my morning routine. I hope you enjoyed it. I will say most of that is, all of that is like what I do every morning, but I recognize that I have like a long, luxurious amount of time. If there was only one thing that I was going to guarantee that I did, it would be the 15 minutes of silence outside. That is honestly life-changing for me. So, yeah, if you take nothing else away and I could like influence you to do one good thing for yourself, that would be the one I would pick. So that being said, let's get into a few updates for the channel. It's really only one update for the channel, but essentially I am writing a book, as I've said a million times here in the podcast and Instagram. So I'm in the process of writing a book, and it has a pretty quick turnaround, or at least for me, it's a quick turnaround. It's about 3 months. I've done a lot of the groundwork already, but there's just a lot of work to be done, which means all of my creative energy really needs to be going to the book. And so I've cut down in a lot of areas, and including the podcast going 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then with Instagram and with YouTube, my strategy, what I'm going to try and do, is simply let myself create when I feel like creating and give myself a break if I don't. Meaning, I'm not going to say I'm taking the next 3 months off. That was my initial thought, was like, I should take the next 3 months off of YouTube and Instagram and just focus on writing. And I think that's something that I can do, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing, which I think is how I've traditionally operated. It's like either I'm on or I'm off. And I want to give myself the flexibility and like the space to say, maybe I feel like creating a video and I'll make it and it'll go live. But I'm not required to, you know what I mean? So I just want to say that to say, normally over here, I'm doing Monday and Wednesday video uploads. And for the next 3-4 months, probably through February, I will be a little bit more sporadic and erratic about it. It'll probably just be when I have the time or when I have the idea or when I have the energy, I will post, but otherwise I'll probably not. And that is very uncomfortable for me. I like to set expectations that you can rely on, and then to live up to those expectations as much as possible. And so the fact that I just like have to be like, let's play here and let's just experience this together and see what happens. Not how I've operated so far in my life. Let's just say that in terms of content creation. So we're going to try that. We're going to play with that energy. I appreciate you guys for understanding. I know you will be fine. I don't feel like anyone's going to be mad at me over it. I just more so, I like to be consistent. I like to follow people who are consistent. I like to know what to count on. So I just figured I'll communicate up front about what to rely on, what to expect. And I think it'll be fun to explore what videos I want to make when there's no pressure to make a video. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how this plays out. And I'll see you in the next one, whenever that is. Bye.